How's everybody tonight? I hope you can hear me okay. Oh, there goes the tinfoil hat already. My name's Quinlan, and this is Melbourne Musos Facechook Live on a crazy kind of week. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, so what goes on here is, as I said, my name is Melbourne Musos. And this is Chris. No, sorry, I'll start again. My name's Quinlan. This is Melbourne Musos Facechook Live. How are you today? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of an African slant today. I'm going to just work on a couple of things. And African, South American, things like this, you know, that kind of stuff. And I'm going to start with what we call a surdo rhythm. I've done it before. I've got a lovely 4-camera shoot coming up and all that, but what I'm going to do here is this. I've got a bit of a problem there. I'm going to take that straight out. Oh, damned thing. All right. So what goes on is I'm going to play this. Now that is a surdo rhythm. Now, what goes on is, I'll put that back for a second. I'm going to show you that. I've done it a little bit before, but I'm going to put a different slant to it. What happens, I've got my brushes here. And when we do the Latin bass drum, that's where it comes from. There it is there, you see. So what happens is, what we've got here is a Latin bass drum which is very, very well known. We use it for a bossa nova, a samba, so many Latin rhythms and things. But what I want to do tonight is change a few things around. Tonight's about changing a couple of things around if we can. So what happens is, we've got this... that kind of thing there. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'll go back to the surdo rhythm. I've got a mallet in one hand, and here we go here. What it is in when you're using a surdo rhythm is basically what gives us the Latin bass drum. And what happens is that when we're dealing with things like that, just like an open and closed hi-hat, we also have open and closed drums. You know, you get that. And then you use your left hand to mute. There it is there, you see? That kind of thing there. Build it up. There it is there. So when you're actually playing that kind of a thing, I'll just show you. I'll put it up here on the tom here. So what you've got is an open sound. There it is. And then you close your hand, put your hand on, close the tom. And you see I'm doing that. Can you see that I'm going from side to side there? This camera will pick it up. Hello there. And there you go. So one and two and three and four and one. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3. Depends on how you want to count it, depending on the tune. And that's what goes on there. Now, we're going to translate that to the feet. So you get that. Now, what goes on is that you have that kind of thing. By its nature, a Latin bass drum is a kind of a 2 feel there. So you get that, you know. There you go, you see. So what I'm doing here is I'm starting off with the mallet, going to brushes, building it up. There you go, you see. So that's what happens there. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play with that, and I'm going to turn things around a little bit, because what can start to happen is that if I'm going to go to sticks and do the same thing, now, so far so good. Now I'm going to go to tom-toms. There you are, you see. That's what you have. Now, what starts to happen here is how would it be if I slammed it? Now what we've got now is splitting rudiments now. Now what we've got so far is pretty much a South American kind of a deal there, and that's what you've got. But if you wanted to get it more tribal, more African and all that, if we're talking about a samba, for instance, that kind of thing there, that's a samba. But it goes back to Africa. In Africa, it's known as a semba. So instead of samba, S-A-M-B-A, in Africa it's often known as a semba, S-E-M-B-A, very close. But it's a lot more tribal and a lot more djembe-like and all that. And this is where I'm heading, okay, with this. Because it's once again, I'm trying to do a bit of a multi-layered lesson here in the sense that, sure, it's a Latin kind of deal that I'm doing here, but I'm actually going to change the sounds so it goes across to Africa, you know, very much more of a tribal thing. So what happens is that one of the things that you can do is when you start to play, say, a single stroke roll, my snares are off deliberately. I just want this as a tom-tom. So that's what you've got. Now if I've got this, if I add a flam to that, split it between two drums, okay, in the same way that people would split it between two djembes, perhaps. You see it building up? That's what you've got. See, it comes from there. Here's the single stroke roll between these two drums. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Got the picture? Then flam. Now, that's what starts to happen. Now, with that, one of the things about so many different kinds of rhythms of that nature, it's hemiola in nature there, so it's a 3 against 2 polyrhythm. So what you've got is that you might have 3 with the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2 with the left, both right, left, right, both right, left, right. Something like that, anyway. Flam the connection, the resolution point. And And then what you can start to do is bring in, say, the Latin bass drum. That's what can start to happen. Now, with that, now let's work the Latin bass drum into what I often call a reggae bass drum. And what happens instead of, say, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, I take out the and 1. So it's like 1, 2 and 3. Something like that anyway. Get the idea there? So you get that kind of business, you see. So what happens is it's 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4. Do you see? You get that kind of thing. Now, when I want to think about doing it in a more tribal style, I won't go to the cymbal. I'll just keep it on the floor tom, let's say. So. There you go. You see, you can get lots of things like that. Now, what starts to happen there is that you can start to get this kind of really rolling thing happening. Now, I'll go across the rim click now with the left hand. Okay, so you get... There you go. You see, that's what goes on there. So you're starting to get this real like that. Ah, beautiful. Now, let's talk about the left foot. What happens if I straddle the left side pedals? You know, that kind of thing there. So what happens, I've got boot cam down here. I hope the tinfoil hat didn't block the view then. Oh my Lord, live without a net. Anyway, so what happens is you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, all with on the snare here. Now that, if I go back to Latin bass drum for a minute, what I've got here is a rim click with the left hand. I'm using the right hand in this area here, so give yourself a bit of space. Close sound, open sound, the ping of destiny, and then Julio. And there begins the beginning. Oh God, help me. Cha cha cha. So what you've got there is you can do that kind of but then bring in the flams. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, quirky, bit bright. I'll slow it down a bit, put it on the floor. Now, what I can also do is imply different time signatures with this. I might have. So what I've got here is I've got that kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what you've got there, you see, so you've got that kind of thing. Now, if I take out the hi-hat now, and go across just to the left side pedal of the double kick, I can get this. Hey, Alexi. That's what can go on with that. So what we're doing is we're taking a couple of simple ingredients, if you like, and then what we're doing is moving the sounds around, back to front, doing different things. And what goes on with that is that with this, we start to get different styles, okay? So with my notes here, I've got here, you know, Sordidor turns into a Latin bass drum. You see, that kind of thing there. Samba, you know, comes from a samba, okay, big drums. Latin bass turns into reggae bass drum, if you wish, or something along those lines. And then what I'm talking about is what I generally term, it's just my name for it, is split flams. Okay, so when you're doing two parts, if you're doing any kind of piano assessment, around about the grade 3 level, I spent about 20 years being an examiner of, you know, of different things with all the, you know, stuff. And at grade 3 level, what starts to happen with pianists and drummers too, with the drum set syllabus that I wrote many, many years ago. But what happens is that you start to get two-handed rhythms. Okay, so that's what happens there, you know. And of course, with the piano, chords with the left hand, melody with the right, that's what goes on, and then everything in between, you see. But what goes on with this is that if you're going to, say, take, as I said, you take perhaps a single stroke roll, flam it, two different surfaces, you can hear it with the left hand there. And what happens is something fairly complex starts to come out of something that we take for granted, you know, grade 2 or something like that, basic flams. Then when we put them in with the left foot on the bass drum, I've got a single bass drum here and all that. I'll Old Doris back at home used to have a second bass drum, but I took it out. I put her on the Jenny Craig diet, took a bit out of, I actually took 2 bass drums out. I had the 20-inch bass drum there and my 18-inch bass drum over here, standing up so I could hit it. But I took it out a little while ago, and I'm really thinking of putting them back in, that kind of thing, because you'd have that high-low sound and all that. But when you're dealing with one bass drum and a double pedal, this kind of biz, what happens is that you want to be able to go down to boot camp, but you want to be able to perhaps change the sound of the bass drum by using different things. You could use with DW, you've got the hard side beater and you've got the felt side and all that. All well and good. But one of my little tricks is when you really want a soft bass drum sound, like if you're in a little quiet restaurant now, baby socks, okay? So rather than, with these ones here, in the bag over there, I've got the felt, there, but what happens is it might be that it's halfway through a gig or you change song or something like that. And with some of the club stuff, they've got the real furry beaters now, sort of thing, don't they? Yes, I do. Because, hello, it's Sylvester the Talking Sock. Do you remember him? Oh, the old timers. It's Sylvester. He even had a song. It was, Sylvester. There you go, mate. Yeah. How's that bloody Craig Kelly dicky? Yeah, I know, the tinfoil hat time again. Yeah, what about that bloody tennis? We'll get onto that later. It's getting a bit too political. All right, then we'll do it later. Okay, what goes on now is we stick little baby sock, Sylvester the baby sock, on the left pedal, right? Now, here's the normal. There it is there. Here's, you ready to go? Yeah, okay. Oh, have a listen to that. Oh, bit muffled. How you doing down there? Yeah, I got a headache now. The tinfoil hat's getting to me. So you get this, you see here. Hear the different tones, you see. There's the sock. Can you see it down in boot camp? There it is. Hello, Alexi. How are you? Right behind the camera there. Do me a favour. Just go to there. I'm going cross-eyed. That's better. Thank you. So what you've got there's the sock. The baby sock, you see. And then what can happen is that as you change that around, oh, I lost a bit of the sock. Look, I lost a bit of... Landed next to the tinfoil hat, mate. There you go. So what happened? I got the main sock there. So you got this muffled kind of... And there's the hard beater. So you've got two sounds on one bass drum, so that you're able to change sounds if need be and all that. And it's literally a second. You just have them ready and then bang, put Sylvester in there. And that's what you've got. I'm going to leave Sylvester the baby sock right there. You wouldn't remember Sylvester the Talking Sock. That was in the kids' shows in the 60s. Yeah, that's a different one. sort of thing. But Sylvester, hello, Sylvester the Talking One. It's a ventriloquist dude. I can't remember his name. I can see his face though. Grew up with him. That kind of thing on, where was he? Channel 7 or something, I don't know. Or with Joffa Boy, Uncle Norman. Oh, I don't know. Was that the Tarax show? Oh! Now, one of the things about Latin bass drums and all that, starting to wrap up, is that what goes on is that it's consistent, right? So you've got that, I'll go back to the hi-hat now. What about me? I'm down here now. Sylvester's demarcation dispute down there, okay. All right. Time to see the shop steward there, Sylvester. So here we go. So there's that. And it's meant to be regular. That's what a bossa is, a bossa nova. You've got your rumbas, you've got everything there. But what happens is that you can start to move it around a little bit. You can have that sort of... This goes to what I did last week, four-way independence. Because what happens so often is, I said this last week, the hi-hat is often thought of as leave the hi-hat for the band. And what happens is I've written, I did a solo called The Lonely Little Hi-Hat. It's a little bit like Designated Driver. Everyone's having a party, and you're sitting there with your glass of ginger ale. Oh, bloody hell, you know, sort of thing. And you go, you know, that sort of stuff. He's all sober and everyone else is doing free jazz. Yeah, free jazz. So it's always the same. See, everyone's having a ball over here. Poor old hi-hat, the lonely little hi-hat. Oh, there goes the cymbal magnet. Bloody hell. There you go. There it is. Hello, boys. Okay, so there you go. So I better start wrapping the show up. What I'm doing tonight is really moving sounds around so that some of the standard things that you have, like a rumba, bossa nova, all these sambas, all this sort of business, can all of a sudden take on a different tack if you just simply change your sounds. Now, in classical terms, this is called timbre. T-I-M-B-R-E. When you write it down, it looks like timbre, mate. But what it is, it's timbre is what it is. And so what goes on is when you're actually doing things like that, you can start to really take the Latin bass drum to other places, you see. You put your baby sock on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side if you want. And then what happens is that you get there's the baby sock. Here's the normal bass drum. Big difference on one drum. So what you've got is bass drum on 2 or 4. There's the hemiola from Espanola. Keeping it like a solid ostinato, I'm putting it in like colour. Now I've got Sylvester with the hi-hat there. Just the left foot, right foot. Trying to get that ping of destiny there. There you have it, you see. So that's a little something there. Baby socks. Do you see? There it is.
I got a headache now. I hope I'm getting paid for this bloody gig. Yeah. It's beer o'clock, isn't it?
Yes, Sylvester. I'm going slightly mad, to quote Freddie Mercury. Slightly mad.
Yeah, get out of there. Buy me a beer later, you dirty bastard. Boom. Yeah.
Not quite with the tinfoil hat. But anyway, there you go. So what happens is I'll sign off now. I hope you enjoyed the show. It's a little bit... I sort of called it the African Slant. You take things that you can already do. It's not like I'm going to sit here and give you 14 against 11 polyrhythm or anything like that, although it comes out sounding quite complex. But it's really coming from things that you really already know. Things like Latin beats, if you're going to do a restaurant gig, you've got to know a bossa nova, all that, get up close and personal. Hey, darling, yeah, kind of thing. Oh, there you go. Must, Tinder date. Must be able to dance and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, hi, how you going? Swipe left. Anyway, dumb jokes. That's what I do. So what happens is that you take simple things or things that you already know, and then you change them around, that kind of thing. Just, opposites attract. So what can start to happen is that you just change. You take maybe the right hand off of the rad, you put it on the floor tom, you flam, and split the flam. Now, when you're doing a rudiment on a practice pad, sort of things, just... You got to do it. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Learn to bounce a stick. Got to bounce a stick, son. But what happens is that as soon as you split it, there it is there. That starts to turn into your 3-2 polyrhythm, the hemiola, and it's really just both right, left, right. Stuff like that. But if you're doing... something like that anyway. And so what happens is you start to get really sort of some complex things happening, but from things you already know. Things you know, both right, left, right. You can do that anywhere. Both right, left, right. Just do that, 3 against 2 polyrhythm. So what goes on is, I'll wrap it up now. But what you've got here is, as I said with the title of tonight's show, the African Slant. Okay, just taking things you already know and making them a little bit tribal and making it sound like there's 2 djembe players playing or some such thing, like in an African drumming circle or something like that. Only you're doing it, within oneself. Okay, so what happens is I've got that there. As again, it starts out, as I said, you've got the pseudo rhythm, which is, I just need one mallet for that. Thank you, Chris. And always think that when you've got drums, you can play a drum open and use your hand to mute. Now, that's the same kind of thought pattern as a open and closed hi-hat, you see. This is all that sort of biz. So it's the surdo rhythm, which an surdo, it's got the little on surdo. Look them up. Have a listen, and it, for all intents and purposes, it looks like a sort of a floor tom, and shoulder strap out the side, bang. It's the bass of the bateria and all that, and that's where the Latin bass drum comes from. And some people call it the samba bass drum. That's fine as well, but old H used to always say it's the Latin bass drum. So it's used in everything. And it's just that, you get that kind of thing. That's where it comes from. It comes from a surdo rhythm. But what happens if you put the left foot on another bass drum? You can start to get things like that. And imagine if you've got a smaller bass drum, like an 18-inch bass drum or a 20 and a 22. So boom, ba-ba, boom, ba-ba, boom. So honestly, people like Terry Bozzio and stuff put a piccolo tom on basically a cowbell, foot cowbell stand. It was like boom, 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 like that, with his left foot, with his semicircle of pedals there. Oh my Lord! It should have its own postcode, that drum kit. But anyway, I'll sign off. I said that's the third time. So my name's Chris Quinlan. How are you? And this is a crazy Facechook tonight and all that. If it's just the camera mic sound, don't fear. I'll have the 4-camera shoot up for you hopefully tomorrow. I'm going to a party tomorrow. Ali Lee, mate, 40th birthday. This is for you. And I'll see you tomorrow, hey? So what happens is I'll get it up over the weekend sometime. And what happens there is, the African Slant. Make it a little bit more tribal. Do different things by turning things upside down. Anyway, I'm out of here. Hey! I'll see you next week in this beautiful theatre, the Alex Theatre. And, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We're back into lockdown, sort of. Back to masks. We're doing this. Oh, my Lord. There's tinfoil hat dudes getting on the news, all this stuff. It's a crazy week, and somehow we're still getting there. Anyway, I'll see you next week at next week's Beer O'Clock. Hey, my name's Chris Quinlan, Melbourne Musos Facechook Live. See you later, bye. Oh!